It is still Monday on Richard of Legends. No, you haven't clicked on the wrong video. I made a second one today. Why? I felt like it. Anyway, one thing we're going to do today, because apparently it's quite common for people to look at champions and tell other ones how good they are, how good they think they are. So we're going to do that for the anniversary summon pool, because they've really thrown a large bag into here. We'll start with legendaries, and if we feel like we'll do the epics as well, because most of these are honestly pretty decent. Like, I mean, there's no bad champion in the game. I mean, there's some better than others, but with Cursed City, you end up finding value in ones you wouldn't use otherwise. So starting off is... Wait, how do I click on these? I was just took minutes. There's Karagor Deathbell. He's a team defense champion, kind of. He's pretty much a generalist in some ways because he cleanses, he boosts turn meter, he keeps himself alive, and he defends your team. Now, he's fine. He's not going to set your account on fire. There's 50 legendaries in the game better than him, but if you need a good team defender, then this guy's pretty decent. Next is Nishek Verminlord. Now, this champion is incredibly versatile. He places bombs that scale up against bosses. He can set them to 1 turn, also decrease attack, and he turns explode bomb into poison, so he can do quite a lot. Now, despite this, despite how you'd think bombs would be good in arena with all the stuns going around, sadly there is a little thing called polymorph which stops him dead in his tracks, alongside champions like Duchess Lortu and Marichka the Unbreakable, who he can't really get around by himself. But if you want him for PvE, or even to one-shot the Dreadhorn from Doomtower Rotation 3, then he's your rat. Honestly, I like this champion a lot. I just wish I had a better soul for him, and that... Please do something about polymorph, please. Anyway, next is Harima. Now, unless you've been living under a rock, you've seen this champion everywhere, because this passive is... it's quite something. Not only do Demon Spawn faction be able to exist around her, this is not just 50% damage reduction, this can be up to 85%. Because if someone's invalidating your entire defense stat, and now you have like 6,000 of that, which wasn't working before, they are doing next to no damage to you at all. And otherwise, this is an incredibly good Stallbreaker ability. She is going to scale up her defense, reduce their own, and eventually it's going to get to a point where by hook or by crook, she's going to kill the entire team. Like, once she does this with this, it's pretty much over. Now, one thing I will say is, be careful around using this against things like Duchess, etc. who have polymorph, because this doesn't check resistance or have a chance to be blocked. You're going to provoke them, they're going to polymorph you, and now your passive is going to fall off, and all of that ignored defense before that, which previously nullified, is going to start kicking off. So, yeah. But that's just polymorph for you. If you don't do polymorphed, then just don't use abilities that use debuffs. Oh, what do you mean that this instantly does this if you kill an enemy? And then... Plarium, please. Next is Stardust Dragonbane. Now this guy he looks cool. Like, he's slaying a Dracomorph, he wears it as a hat. It's like something from Monster Hunter. Hey, Monster Hunter, remember that? So, he busts himself in terms of increased defense, so you don't need to support out for him. He has 2 AoEs, this one can stun, and then his passive is, you can't put increased defense on him, you can't weaken him, you can't poison him. Do any of these, he throws it back at you. Now where is this good? Hard Mode Dragon. Get this guy, put regeneration set on him, park him against Hard Mode Dragon, it'll kill himself, and he won't even die off it, because you don't even need accuracy on him or books, so he's really good there. Now, he can work in arena as well, but he's not the best for that because he has no real defense ignore, and against things like Duchess, he just outright can't kill them. But apart from that, this guy is another great generalist. If you get him, you didn't have him, be happy. He's pretty good. So there's Badal Khazar. He's kind of fallen off slightly. We have better options in the game, but he has a full cleanse, he puts poison on everyone, he can heal the team, and you're probably going to use this guy more for Cursed City and Amaya Selena Arcane nowadays. but he can do things like solo Dragon 25 pretty easily. Although with hard modes, he kind of gets stat checked by the enemies having a lot more damage, so he can't really solo past that point. But apart from that, not terrible, let him pass. Elva Autumnborn, she's a hard support. She has Cleanse, block debuffs, increase speed, revive. It's single target and defends him somewhat, and more heals on this and her passive, plus speed aura. Like, she is overall pretty good in terms of thing. Like, will defend the team pretty well in terms of the block debuffs and the cleanse. And I mean, again, overall, like, if you don't have her and you get her, then she's pretty good. Not one to really rush put all your best gear on unless you have nothing else, but I mean, yeah. She's also in Sylvan Watchers, which is still a half-baked faction. Next is this guy he's a progression legendary, that's what I'm going to say for him. He defends your team similar to how Karagard did before with the ally protection. And also heals. Now this places up to 4 poisons and sleep, so he can disable a team pretty well, although this is more for dungeon waves than anything else. You're not going to use this guy in arena at all. His left click is A1, left click, same thing. It's kind of like fine. It booked up to 80%. I think it should have booked up to 100 really, but I don't know, I guess for some reason we just don't have legendaries that have, I don't know. And this heals your team every time you get poisoned, so if you need someone to get you through dungeon waves, like, in a way he's quite similar to Nishak in how he's going to poison and disable waves, and yeah. Prince Kaimar, mentioned him last time. He's got a full reset on a 6-turn cooldown, also gives you turn meter, full remove buffs, although it does place a hit, so it might fail on force finder champions. Also polymorphs in the game because of that, and this is like also fine for like, a bit of additional damage, but I wouldn't really build like crit on him unless you are really trying to cope like Curse City or something. Speed aura, yeah, like he's a champion where genuinely you can have like up to 3 of him. You can have one like fast accurate for arena removing buffs. You can have one in high resist to counter lockout. He resists it, resets your cooldowns, play the game as normal, and then one for PvE, which is speed tune for dungeon waves. Newt is, yeah, this is the guy who power crept Ninja, kind of, because Ninja's previous thing was he did like 12% max HP true damage to bosses, but this guy does up to 30% because he hits 3 times, does damage cap of 10% each time, also reduces their defense, so yeah. This is, he was kind of sold as a solution to hard mode Fire Knights, where he would cut his turn meter by 45%, because each freeze cuts hard mode Fire Knight's turn meter by 15%, and 100% chance, or can just like work elsewhere. And this is decent for waves, or if you need like for weaker. But if you're using this guy for Hydra, then disable this, unless you're going to put like 500 resistance on him, because otherwise Mischief's going to steal the counter-attack, he'll spread a counter-attack, and you're going to hate this game even more than any self-respecting person would, who is still having to play it because there's nothing else out there. It's like, what else are you going to play? Dragon's Dogma 2. Yeah, sure. And his passive is kind of, it exists. But yeah, this is another champ, but even have one of him, there are many comps which use up to 3, because if you're using this, you could just delete a boss entirely. Like, he's pretty good, and I mean, this is fine. Next is Nekmafar. He is a speed booster who was designed mainly for Hydra. He gives you this. He has decreased speed and leech and decreased attack. Everything he does is AoE. Give him some crit and crit damage. Give him War Master. Put him in a team with Inquisitor Shamal, and he's going to get lots of turns, and your team's going to go very fast, and Hydra's not going to get to do too much in general. The one issue is you will end up reaching the turn meter limit eventually, because this is an extra turn where you're not doing damage, but he also has this, so he's going to take lots of turns, and just overall, he's very good elsewhere as well. Like, this is another champ where you can have like 2 of him. I wouldn't say 3, because like just because that's how Hydra works, but apart from that. Iron Braga, previous Fragment Fusion, he's a defense-based nuker. I mean, sort of, like... The first thing I'm going to say is about this guy has to be first in the team or as close to first possible because of how the game works. If he's last, this pattern doesn't work for anyone. We don't know why, if that's just how the game is, but he self-buffs and puts increased defense on all of your team. This does pretty high damage but doesn't ignore defense or anything, and then this doesn't provoke 400% chance for some reason, and this is only a 30% chance, so he's kind of fallen off a bit because he was good for clan boss for a while in terms of increasing defense, but I mean, maybe they get around to him sometime in 2026, who knows. Theodore the Savant is another poisoner designed for Arena, places a bunch of them, gives your team increased speed. He can also place decreased speed, so you can sort that out. And then he can detonate poisons and burns, so great for dungeon speedrunning, like especially Spider, but can also work for Dragon. And he also has this, which is fine if you're like soloing certain stages where you just need like a bunch of extra resistance to go on him, but nowadays it's not as important. But overall, like, this guy is someone who's great for like doing Spider in like 4 to 5 turns, and if you don't have one of him and you're spending, I mean, honestly, if you're spending already, you don't need me to tell you what's good and what isn't. In fact, I don't know why you're watching this. Maybe you're bored. I don't know. Anyway, moving on. Cupidus is... He got buffed recently. Not recently, a while ago. He's great with Venus on his counterattacks. This does pretty decent damage. Infamous, although it's kind of strange because Venus has the same thing on a 3-turn cooldown and she is void, so it's a little redundant in that regard. And then this is just a single target hit. I mean, honestly, for the most part, using him for this along with his A1 counterattacks, like, this can work in Arena for the most part, although it's kind of fallen off a little bit recently because there's more counters to it. Like you could just like, even if it's in Stone Skin with Lightning Cage, you can just like polymorph him with like Sun Wukong or Armans. So, but I mean, like, by himself, I wouldn't say he's the greatest. With Venus, he's pretty good. And last is Valkyrie. Now, Valkyrie is one of the other champions of the game with AoE counterattack. The other ones being Martyr, and also this guy, I believe, has it. Yep, this guy allows some Mirror Mythical, gives your team a counterattack on 3-turn cooldown, but most people don't have him yet. Like, I mean, 151 is pretty sizable given that Primal's in the game now. But anyway, Valkyrie was good for a while as kind of an anti-speed booster because enemies would place buffs themselves, she'd cut it back down again, also then place this, so now your team has a large shield and counterattack, and she also has a bit of turn meter reduction here as well. But she's, again, another kind of a Fire Knight champion because she places a shield to defend against his large hits, you counter-attack, drop his shield a bunch, but she's still pretty decent for like Arena regardless. I have seen a couple of things where people are using like Nuke Valkyrie, but it's mostly good against squishy teams because she doesn't have her best ratios in the world, and like, so, and like even like Savage, etc. Like, this is a 3x defense multiplier, so yeah. But again, if you need a counterattack champion, it's either her or it's Martyr or it's a mythical that you're probably never getting. So yeah. So overall, they are really trying to get you to spend with this one. Either you're doing it or you're not. But next time around, we'll go through the epics because there's more of them. And I don't want to keep you for ages because you have better things to do with your life. No, you don't. You're playing this game. Don't lie to yourself. Anyway, bye.